Thank you all for coming this afternoon. I'm Leo Panitch, co-editor of the Socialist Register. For about the last 15 years or so, pretty well ever since the Register started mainly being edited here in Toronto, we've had an annual launch. The Register comes out every year. It has since 1964. This is its 48th volume. We've had a launch every year, various different places, sometimes in academic halls, sometimes in places like the Lula Lounge. I'm very pleased that this year we're able to make this part of Leftward, the annual book festival of the left in Toronto that's being revived this year. I really want to thank Lindsay Sharp and his comrades at Fernwood Books and its parent, at Brunswick Books now it's called, its parent Fernwood Books, which has been a co-publisher of the Register now for some 20 years, for letting us put on this event this afternoon as part of Leftward. The theme of this year's volume is the crisis in the left. And it's the second of two volumes that we devoted to analyzing the crisis. And in entitling this The Crisis of the Left, our intention was to attempt to broaden the way in which the left looks at the crisis, or should look at the crisis. The first essay is an essay by David Harvey, which challenges the left for its failure to have understood the extent to which capitalist crises since the 19th century have been rooted in urban space, have been rooted in the crises of capitalist real estate. Similarly, there's an essay by Nicole Ashcroft which challenges the left to undertake a much deeper analysis of the industrial crisis, the crisis of productive capital in North America. And focusing on the auto industry, she tries to show the extent to which the crisis of that industry is not a matter of factories and jobs escaping to Asia. And it's a brilliant. There's an article by Larry Lohman which challenges the left to look at the climate crisis and the financial crisis as an intertwined crisis. And it's a very rich analysis. Two of the key essays in the volume are the essay by David McNally on the slump and resistance, and the other by Fran Piven called The New Poor Life, an analysis of what's happened to the poor in the run-up to the crisis and what's happened to the poor in the wake of the crisis. And I'm especially happy that they're both here to be able to speak today. The volume was finished before Occupy made its appearance. The central theme of the preface that Greg Albo and I and our other co-editor, Vivek Chipper, wrote last June was that it's the right, it's the ruling classes of the world who have taken advantage of this crisis, who have seized the opportunity to deepen and extend neoliberalism. And while we pointed to developments like the Arab Spring and other struggles that had taken place, what struck us last June was the extent to which those had not made much of a dent in the further drive towards neoliberalism. And we noted that that was especially true in North America. Well, of course, the Occupy movement developed last fall. And if you read the final paragraphs of both David and Fran's essay in this year's volume, and you can do so by purchasing a copy at the back of the room or over at the Brunswick book table in the book room, you will see that both of them, with a good deal of prescience, in essays written well before, months before, half a year before Occupy developed, with a good deal of prescience, predict that something like this is about to happen. And both of them very soberly say that it won't be enough. David's essay in particular ends with, he expects this to happen, but it'll need 10, 20, 30 years of organizing to really have the effect we'll need it to have. Bringing Fran here is especially a pleasure, not least because Fran's a dear friend of this year again is always important to Melanie, but also because this year a book of hers was published called Who's Afraid of Frances Fox Piven? I don't know whether you know the extent to which Fran became the target of right-wing populist hostility and vitriol over the last couple of years, led by a Fox, what's the right word, attack on Glenn Beck. He literally dug out an essay that she and Richard Clower had written in The Nation in 1965-66, and using all kinds of flowcharts, showed the extent to which that one article was the source of the war against America. So the subtitle of this book is The Essential Writings of the Professor Glenn Beck Loves to Hate. And it is really a wonderful collection. Fran has written an introduction to essays she's written over the decades since the 60s in chronological order, and reading this is really to read a history of analysis and theorizing and accounts of social movement struggles in the United States since that time. When Fran read the blurb we put on bringing this meeting together, she said it's over the top. But it's not over the top. She is America's foremost analyst of social movement. And it's very, very appropriate that we have her here speaking on where does Occupy lead now. David McNally, whose piece, as I said, in the volume on the slum and resistance to it, if you read it, you'll see how prescient it is. You all know as one of the leading activists here in Toronto, and one of the leading analysts of this crisis. His book, The Global Slum, published by PM Press, I think has already gone through a number of printings. It's going to do extremely well, have a big impact. And it's available also on the Brunswick table. Fran's book is available at the Another Story bookstore book table, also. So I want to welcome you all here. Fran will speak first on where does Occupy lead now. She'll be followed by David, and then my co-editor Greg Albo will say a few words to conclude.